and welcome to this special interview on Tales of Hagie Drammeh. Our first guest is the newly elected President of the Gambia National Olympic Committee, of course, an honorary IOC member, Ms. Beatrice Allen. And you are the first woman to be elected as President of the Gambia National Olympic Committee.
Yes.
What does this mean to you?
Well, in terms of what? Because I find myself doing what I have been doing before. Because in an NOC situation, it's not the president only that, does the job. It's everybody in the management and board. So there are mixed feelings, and I cannot place my hand or finger on any of them. But I know that it's good. It showed that the national federations in this country know what they want from the NOC. It's not about politics. It's about how they want the NOC to be run. That's what they do when they vote. Sports politics is different from any other politics, because in sports politics, it's about the values of the organization. It's about what you want from the organization, because the NOC is the national federations put together. And the majority come from the Olympic sports. They are ingrained in the values of the IOC. So they know when they choose, they know who they're choosing and why they're choosing that person. So I don't have any feelings. They have the feelings. There was a lot of euphoria when I won the elections. Like, everybody was satisfied that this time around they will have a say, reforms will be done, and at least they can call somebody who already knows what they need. And that is what has been happening. They have been calling me, what do you know about this, that, and that? And I will tell them what I know about it. And that has been happening before I became president, because a president has a team, and the team all have their various responsibilities, and we all work together. So the feeling is good.
How will this reflect on female participation in sports in the Gambia and Africa at large?
Well, the same way it has been happening, because I have been in women and sports development. All these years, women and sports took me to the IOC as a member, among other things. I was the focal point for women's development in sports. And I continue to do what I have been doing. And I have always been a source of inspiration, both here at home and abroad, especially in Africa. And that continues. I have been very much involved in dealing with women and girls in sports, especially girls. I love the girls in sports because they are very vibrant. They are very enthusiastic. The last time we had a coaching course here, it was a sports administration course, and they stood up and said, we want to be like you. And I pray that I would live to see that. I want them to be like me. I want them to give their time to sports. I want them to be sports managers, because it's not enough to participate in sports. What women and girls have to do, they have to be part of the sporting structures. And this is what will bring the development. Once you have a woman in a position, she does not have to do much. The other women will emulate her. So what I'm going to do is I will form our own women caucus in sports in the Gambia. I told them that at the place we are keeping a database of all these girls, and we will have targeted programs that will build them up to become sportswomen. especially in sports management.
Your critics accuse you of not bringing much to the Gambia as an IOC member. And how do you intend to change that now you're the president of the GNOC?
My IOC membership has nothing to do with Gambia. The Gambians did not put me there. The Gambians did not even know how I got there. The IOC is the apex of the Olympic movement. The Olympic movement is the IOC, the international federations, and the National Olympic Committees. They have their own autonomy. I am part of the NOC, and by virtue of my nationality is the reason why they think that when I'm IOC member, so I should bring all the goodies to the country. I am not going to say what I have done, but the answer is it has nothing to do with Gambians. They can only be proud of a Gambian being at that apex body. And we are praying that we'll have another Gambian go there. That's my prayer. That after me, there will still be a Gambian there, but they have to work hard for it. Because the IOC has its own criteria of choosing who becomes an IOC member. They do not take permission from the country. It's just your name and where you are coming from. Because when they say IOC member Beatrice Allen, the next thing is from the Gambia. I have a right to that ownership. I am a Gambian, and I am an IOC member, and it is not binding on me to bring anything to the country but to inspire Gambians in sports, especially women and girls.
With the inclusion of Gina Bass,
Correct.
Hagie Drammeh,
Correct.
in the board of the GNOC.
Absolutely.
What other plans do you have for the younger athletes of this country?
You see, the IOC has a new policy on athlete development. Now it's about athletes telling the IOC what they want and not the IOC telling them what it is doing for them. So it's the same here in all countries, all NOCs. Athletes have to be part of the board of National Olympic Committee. I would have loved to have Hagie Drammeh and maybe judo or swimming or some other sport, but unfortunately we don't have another woman in the other sports. So we bring Gina. Gina is an international icon now. We have to know how to celebrate people. When you celebrate Gina that way, Hagie Drammeh was already celebrated. He was first part of it. Then Gina comes to join him because now there is a balance. This is what NOCs are being asked to do. Let there be a balance in gender. Where you have a man, you need to have a girl there so that you can have a balance. So we appointed her to be in the board. And we are going to use that to inspire other athletes so that they can do better. But Gina is a source of inspiration, just as Adama has always been a source of inspiration. We are proud of both of them. And we are putting them in the board so that they can inspire other athletes to do well.
5 Olympic sports and 7 non-Olympic sports didn't vote for you as president of the GNOC, but now you are the president of the NOC. And how do you intend to include these sports in your general development program?
You see, being part of the development program of the NOC is the business of national federations. They have to plan. They have to have their athletes well ready and prepared. They have to participate in national, regional, sub-regional, international championships. That is the problem with Gambia sports. Before, we used to have just athletics. Then swimming came up. And then we had judo. It's getting good, right? And then we had volleyball. These are fantastic sports that the NOC cannot ignore. When we won, I made a declaration. We are one family. Let us all come together and work together. And you know, sports administrators are not that important. The athletes are more important than the administrators. We are for athlete development. If you bring up and present a good plan, for sure, because the money is for that. But the only time, have you ever had sports federations making noise about athletes? The only time you hear them is when there is election. So for them, it's the elections. After the elections, you won't hear anything again until 2024. That's when you will hear them. What about the athletes? We could take action, but we will not. Because, you know, we give them time to sort out themselves. Barely 2 weeks after the elections, the volleyball president was here already. He brought his plan.
That is after the election.
After the elections, he came here.
That's quite interesting.
Yeah, because we spoke immediately after the elections. You know, I told him, I will really miss you in the board, because he was a good man. Bai Dudu is a good man, he's a gentleman. He said, it's okay, Auntie B. What we will do is, I will continue to work with you, because I have my athletes to take care of. Isn't that nice to hear?
That's a good leadership.
Oh, I am telling you, he's a leader. He was here with his plan for 2024. We get games upon games, and next year we have the Commonwealth Games as well. So we are all the time on games preparation. Let the national federations do their job and tone their noise and focus and everything on the athletes. Because without the athletes, there is no national federation. Now, if we wanted to do a rain check and say we are going to check all the national federations to check how many athletes they have, we will be recognized, a lot of them. Because they don't have it. The only time they rise up is election time. After election, they are gone. There is nothing wrong with standing and opposing. It's all part of the governance framework provided by the IOC. People have to stand elections. People have to contest.
Yeah.
Bai Dudu contested. Unfortunately, he lost. But that did not deviate him from his duties. He came right here and brought the plan. It is with us. It will be reviewed along with other plans. So that is enough calling. We are not going to drag them from where they are to bring them here. If they want to participate in the games, let them do it. Let them do their job. Let them remember that the development of the athletes is more important than them. And that is what is lacking in Gambian sports politics.
You mentioned something very interesting here. That is the coming of Bai Dudu to the office to submit his plan.
Oh yes, he's a gentleman.
And to and beyond. And there were other associations or federations who worked with you in the previous executive when you were first vice president in the past executive, and lately turned against you. How do you, intend to manage the grievances between this leadership as the GNOC president?
I cannot answer that question because they did not turn against me or us or whoever. They were participating in an electoral process. You understand? So, if you do it clean, you will see the result. If you do it nasty, you will also see the result. At the end of the day, we all saw the result of our work in the electoral process. So once the election is over, go back to your national federation, do the needful, program your athletes, come and tell us these are the athletes, we want this, we want that, and it all has to relate to preparing for the games. And this is why we always separate the Olympic sports and the non-Olympic sports. The Olympic sports are the ones we target because they are the ones that go to the games. Sometimes we do help non-Olympic sports because we also have an obligation to develop them. Because now there is no permanency in being a core sports for the Olympic Games. Any other sports can be. Because right now, after Paris 24, modern pentathlon, boxing, and which is the third one, weightlifting, have been removed from the core sports. They have been relegated to non-Olympic sports. So there is no permanency in that.
That is immediately after the Paris 24.
After, they are not going to LA.
No.
The IOC has its own criteria. We just got the news over the weekend that modern pentathlon, weightlifting, boxing have been downgraded. So they become non-Olympic sports. And that is why non-Olympic sports are cared for by the NOC. We help them to develop. You understand? So that in the process, in the event that the international federations become an Olympic sport, then they would have already, in the mainstream, training their athletes, doing what they need to do.
What kind of reforms do you intend to initiate?
We are going to change the constitution. We're going to change it in accordance with the dictates of the Olympic Charter, which we have to do. We have disregarded some aspects of that. I can remember our attention was called before, and we said, oh, this is a small country, you know, we like it this way. No, we are going to change that. We are going to categorize the sports because the IOC has done that. So we have to do that. In the IOC, you know, people love football. Everybody loves football. Mm-hmm. But athletics is the #1 sport.
Oh, yeah.
So
it dominates the Olympic sports.
So this is it. We are going to conduct, that is one of it. The other thing is we need to have a governance framework that would provide the guidelines for whatever we do, from the NOC down to the Sports Federation. A guidelines that will guide how we all behave, how we do our operations. Mm-hmm. If you don't want to be part of that guideline, then you can excuse us. But it has to apply to everybody.
Because I was about to ask whether it will align, whether the reforms will align with government policies.
It's not about aligning. You see, government has its policies, but it also has the international instruments for which they have signed and sealed. Mm-hmm. And that is why the NOC, it's not us working with government, but the government, the NOC itself, as a body, interacting and working with government and cordially and providing information needed and exchanging information. Because if you have a new policy and they don't know about it, it brings about friction. You understand?
Yes.
The NOC is going to be an open book. It has tried to do, but there has been too many problems. We are going to sort those problems.
How do you intend to build a relationship with the government?
No, we already have a relationship. We cannot operate here without government. And when I say government, I don't mean the administration. The administration is the administration. When you say government, because in this country, when they say government, they mean the administration. You have the administration, you have the legislature, you have the judiciary. We have to work with them. We have to respect the laws. We have to work with the administration for the good of the athletes, not for the good of the national federations. For the good of the athletes, because they are the most important element of what we do. But nobody hardly talks to us about the athletes. Even government does not talk to us about the athletes. It's all about the national federations. They are not important. Let's work on athlete development so that they can go to games and championships and bring glory back into the country. That's what we love to hear. That's what we are working for. We are just here by virtue of good governance practice as human beings. But the NOC is here because the government wants the NOC to be here. If today government says we don't need the NOC anymore, good. Everybody go their own way. IOC goes its own way. Yeah. So whatever they are doing it through us to the IOC and not to Beatrice or Kapijuf or this or that. I don't like it when people start calling names about calling this and that, referring to the NOC. The NOC is greater than that. The NOC is here for the IOC. It is part of the International Olympic movement. It's an international body. The only thing is we, the locals, are working in it. So when you attack anybody, you are attacking the NOC and not me. Today I'm there, tomorrow somebody else is there.
That brings me to the next question. You have worked with different presidents as NOC bosses. You worked with notable, the late Alhaji Abdul, the late Alhaji Mamadou Deba you worked with, and Hagie Drammeh, and today you've been elected as president of the Gambia National Olympic Committee. What do you think is special about this one?
About which one?
About this executive?
Because it's headed by a woman. That's the special thing. That's because over time, sports is about build-up. From one leadership to the other. You do not reinvent the wheel. We are not a government institution. You understand? Yes. In an NOC setting, you continue from where the other left. And you build on that. You go, somebody else comes. There has never been a time in which somebody else comes and overhauls the entire NOC. IOC will not take it. Because we have a department in the IOC called Olympic Solidarity, which means in solidarity with the NOCs. The international federations also have their own unit there to supervise them. You cannot change anything here because you'll have to deal with the IOC on that. So the only thing you can do is, build on what you found. If there were any wrong things, you right them. And you can rest assured that Olympic Solidarity, already they have sent us documents to help us in continuing. And we are going to abide by those documents. Nothing happens here without them. Because it is their office. So the only special thing is the leader is a woman. The national federations told me when I asked them, why do you want me to stand? They say, we want a woman president. I said,
and now they got one.
Huh?
And now they got one.
Yeah, they got one and they're very excited about it. And I really appreciate all what they have done. I never planned to be here. I never thought I would be because I did not want to be. But you have to answer to your calling. They wanted me to stand. Actually, it was 11 Olympic sports. Then in the process, as we go along and 11 Olympic sports nominated me and 7 non-Olympic. But as we went along in the process and the application of good governance, we realized karate and softball were relegated to non-Olympic sports because they finished at the end of the Tokyo Games. So they are not part of Paris 24.
2024.
And this is how it works. You never know. And this is why national federations have to be coming to the NOC to check on issues of interest to them and their athletes. They should be checking with their international federations to know what's going on there. They hardly do.
And IOC has their own way of operating.
Yeah. One size fits all. It is not whether you are small or big or mighty or that. We have had stories of mighty countries and so forth clash with the IOC.
Recently, Gambia has been participating in more tournaments than before. How do you intend to expand that?
It would depend on the resources we have, because our sole supplier is the IOC. You know, we don't have sponsors in this country. When you sponsor, they tax you on what you sponsor. So why would you sponsor? You can't blame the private sector. And international sponsorship is a problem because the IOC has already established its sponsors. And they collect those monies and they divide it between international federations and national Olympic committees. That's where they come. So if you have an athlete that has a sponsor like Gina, well and good. But then when Gina has signed a sponsorship agreement, it is the National Federation and the National Olympic Committee that will guide her. Because sponsorship is not easy.
Yes.
So these are the issues. We are going on fine. We don't need, I always say the NOC does not need money to exist. We have it in abundance. But, you know, athlete development is key and it's very important. And this is where government comes in. Government must contribute towards the athletes. We don't need their money. We have our money to operate, but the athletes.
Development should come from them as well.
Yeah. And so far, this government has been fantastic. The past one was terrible, but this one is good. The only thing is we have to improve on the communications between us and the administration.
That signal a larger participation come Paris 2024 if the collaboration with the government is good, cordial as you said.
No, they contributed to the Tokyo Games. They gave us money for the athletes. They did. The only thing I want is intensive communication. We have to communicate more based on substantive communication, not bickering and little things. We don't have time for that.
Of recent, we have seen a very good collaboration, a close collaboration as well, with the Gambia National Olympic Committee. Now you are the president of the NOC. How do you intend to, to expand on that as well?
I was expecting that, Mr. Hagie. We will continue, but we will base it on facts, and you know that. You people have your own governing body. You are not under the NOC. But we follow what the IOC does. The IOC has a cooperation agreement with International Paralympic, and it is renewed every 4 years.
Yes.
They give them money. They provide for them because it is part of our social responsibility. So we will continue to be responsible for you, even though it's not part of what we are doing. Somebody told me the last time, the Paralympic went to
Tokyo.
No, to the ministry.
Yes.
To get support for the games.
Yes.
And nobody from the NOC was there. I said yes, because they are not under the NOC. These are two entities that must be together and work together. So we will continue to work with you, Hagie. And we will continue to support you if you are serious about your games preparation. Because if you go and you come back and give glory to the country, we are all happy about it.
Yeah. Finally, let's talk about infrastructure. I'm sure that is one of your priority as far as taking Gambian sports to another level. We've seen that is one of the big challenges for other sporting disciplines to excel or to even expose talents that in those particular sporting disciplines. And with the connection you have, is available no doubt, Gambians know that you have many links outside. And is infrastructure part of your short-term plans?
Not short-term, but long-term. Infrastructure, sports infrastructure is the responsibility of every country and government. It is not our responsibility. However, this is why collaborating with the government is important, because the government will tell us their plans and we will tell them our plans and we will work out, because it's for the good of the country. You understand? This present minister is very good.
That's Honorable Baji.
Yes.
Bakari Baji.
Yes. I haven't formally met him. But he's good. He is focused. I understand they had a meeting. For me, I go and come, so part of the time I don't. They had a meeting with him. And he told them he wants infrastructural development in sports. The only minister that I have ever heard talk about that.
Wow.
So it means he's the best for sports. If I had the power, I would keep him there.
Just like the saying, who knows it feels it. It seems like he knows it.
Yeah. So we are working with him and the ministry to see how we can meet that dream of his. We have this Olymp Africa Foundation, but their support is mainly for communities. But if you build infrastructure in as many communities as possible, then you will make sports accessible to everyone. When they say, once there was a demand that national federations must be in all the divisions, the regions of the country, they should decentralize. Where can you decentralize and where will you be playing the game?
Yes. For football, you can kick it anywhere.
Exactly. For other sports, you need the infrastructure.
Yes.
Before you ask them to decentralize, provide the sporting structures. Because football can be played anywhere. But there are other sports that cannot be played everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
So we have seen light at the end of the tunnel with this minister. And if we continue to work together, we'll be able to do something. Because we can start by community infrastructure, which is very important. You cannot have a whole community, all they have is a football field. And this is why in this country, sports is football and football is sports. If you ask a toddler, what sport, they will say football, because that's what they see every day. So I think the responsibility is government's, but if they lead and they want us to collaborate with them on that, we will also collaborate with them, because we can get the Olymp Africa Foundation to come and help us with basic sports facilities that can be found in all the communities along the road. And there is one beautiful complex that is planned to be built in Farafenni by natives of Farafenni that lived in Finland or so forth. I had a meeting with them. It's a fantastic one. And when they came, I told the sponsors that when that is ready, we would want to replicate it in other areas. So having that will depend on the success of this one. But Farafenni is central.
Yeah.
At least we can have, like Safra and all those things, have it in Farafenni. Upgrade Basse. Yes. Kawur is another one. And then we have somewhere in the Western Division. we need to build as many community sports facilities as possible, and not just for football, but athletics. Because one of the mistakes of the Serekunda was there was no track.
No tracks for the athletes.
Because the land was not that big. We had to take it as it is. So what we have been trying to do is build some volleyball and basketball facilities there, and then they have the hall, and so on and so forth. It just takes collaboration and goodwill, not pettiness and bickering.
Wow, thank you so very much. We've come to the end of this interview. Unless you have any special message, particularly to those young female sports administrators who will be watching this interview, because like you said, many in this country do look at you as their role model, their idol. That is because of your achievements and your dedication to what you believe in. So unless you have anywhere otherwise, thank you for thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, you know, one last thing. Women do not have time. I'll give you one example. Women have house chores, and the woman, the most important thing in her life is her family. Nobody can take that away from the woman. So what I have been telling national federations is, because they find it difficult to get women, you will search and search. There was a time we had a workshop in Conakry, and we were looking for women. My goodness. You call this one, hey, I have this. You call the other one, oh, I have exams. It was hard. And that is what the national federations are going through. But what I tell them is, if you have a woman in your midst and you want to do a meeting, if you do it in the morning, you will not see her.
Yes.
If you do it during work week, you will not see her. Because she has her job, she has her home. If you do it on a Saturday afternoon, you will get her. So start doing this, and you will be able to get women. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to form a female caucus on sports development.
Wow.
So that we can be sitting around at least once a year and discuss and come up with strategies and plans so that they can be available. They are within the sports federations, but they are not doing well there. They are not doing well. So we have to look at those issues. And that's why now we train them by gender. We tried it and it worked. A lot of them, very dynamic girls. If you see them, who I was so proud.
Wow.
So there are already females in sports. And I'm happy about that. And I want to say kudos to the men. I was voted in by men. I have always been voted in by men. I don't have a problem with men. I never did. Because when I was younger, they used to call me tomboy. Most of my friends are men. So I know how to operate within 1 million men. But, you know, the way we bring up our children also very important. And once your self-esteem is up and you know that you can do it, you do it. But not only do it, but you have to be able to sustain it. Our board meetings are normally Saturday.
Yes.
Saturday is when I cook. But I have to leave the cooking there and come to the meeting. After the meeting, I go and cook. You men, Lord have mercy. You don't have those responsibilities. So you consider yourself operators of the public sphere. And for us, it's the domestic sphere. Some of us have broken that law. But I think it's important for women and girls to be part of sports. And most of the time when you see a woman excel in sports, there is a man behind her. It's either the father figure or the uncle or the husband or the brother. So men are not doing badly in gender equality. And I want to thank them for that.
I'm glad that I'm the man sitting in front of you and hearing this. Thank you so very much, and I hope it's not going to be the first. We'll come again.